CNN has learned that Boeing may suspend or reduce production of its troubled 737 MAX jet and could announce that decision after the stock market closes today. The planes were grounded worldwide in March after two fatal crashes that killed 346 people. Months before those crashes, a senior factory manager warned Boeing management of serious problems in the production line. Joining me now is Ed Pearson, former senior manager at the Boeing 737 factory in Renton, Washington. Also joining us is his attorney, Eric Havian. And Ed, I want to start with you because you worked in the factory that made all the planes in the 737 program for over 10 years. You testified to Congress that since late 2017, you saw problems build up because of a delay in parts, employee fatigue, out-of-sequence work, breakdown in communications, and schedule pressures. That's a lot more than just the faulty software, which is what Boeing blames for these crashes. So explain your concerns and how Boeing responded to them.
Sure. Well, just to be clear, I actually worked at the factory for 3 years. I worked for Boeing for 10 years total. And as far as what I saw, again, was just a factory in disarray. And we had a lot of things going on, as I mentioned to Congress. And those problems just continued to cascade for many months. And that's when I brought my concerns to the attention of the senior management.
And what did they tell you when you brought that concern?
Well, I sent emails and I eventually met in person with the general manager, explained my concerns, asked him to consider shutting down the factory because I felt like it was just not worth the risk. And, I didn't really get that support.
We did reach out to Boeing for this story, and this is what they said. Their statement is Boeing, the suggestion by Mr. Pearson of a link between his concerns and the recent MAX accidents is completely unfounded. Mr. Pearson raises issues about the production of the 737 MAX, yet none of the authorities investigating these accidents have found that production conditions in the 737 factory contributed in any way to these accidents. What do you say to that?
Well, I respectfully disagree. I think without investigating a factory where two brand new airplanes are built, you really can't make a statement like that. I also would refer Boeing back to the final accident report. There's mention repeatedly in the report of airplane issues with the flight control system. There was maintenance messaging, there was pilot messages, there was speed altitude flags on their primary display. There was a lot of things going on. And actually, if you look at page 37 and 284 on the report, they talk in detail about a part that was installed originally by Boeing.
Eric, you say in your 25 years of experiencing representing whistleblowers, the response to Ed's concern was the worst you've seen. Why?
Well, because he was extremely credible. He had very specific information. I mean, we sent binders of information to the federal regulators. And normally, when we provide that sort of information on behalf of our whistleblower clients, the federal agencies will jump at it because they have insider information that they usually didn't know before. And here, all we got was stonewalling. I mean, the NTSB, we had to keep hounding them, and they finally agreed to give them a 15-minute interview, which ended up stretching to an hour and 15 minutes because we were cajoling them to do an investigation of production. And the same with FAA, they wouldn't speak to us at all. Finally, Congress, after all this time, basically directed them at the hearing we just held. Representative Maloney and Representative Meadows from opposite sides of the aisle directed the FAA finally to interview production people and to interview our client to get to the bottom of these production problems. But it took over a year of arguing with these regulators, and finally it had to be Congress that told them they should do their jobs.
Ed, what do you make of the decision, which does seem imminent, that by the close of today there could be an announcement from Boeing to halt or reduce production of the 737 MAX jets?
I really don't have a comment on that. I just say that I'm really encouraged, as Eric mentioned, that Congress got the FAA to agree to do an investigation. I mean, talking to the employees, that worked in the factory in the front line, that's pretty important. And so I'm just encouraged by that. I don't really have any comments about their production plans at this point.
Well, Ed Pearson, thank you for joining us. Eric Havian, thank you very much for being here as well. This is what happens when people come forward and speak their minds. Appreciate both of you.
Thank you.